Welcome to the Emerging Artist Podcast. I'm your host, Shiree Nicole Ingram. Today begins the first day of me going solo. Oftentimes, you hear our podcast with Scott Markowitz, and we decided that I would record some separately just to narrow in on some specifics of my line of work as an artist and hopefully to provide you some insight and help. I think this first podcast, I need to talk about going outside your comfort zone. About 4, maybe even 5 years ago, uh, this whole concept of me talking to you in the first place, absolutely terrifying. And also being on social media, having videos and my face out there, also a terrifying concept. And I think us as artists, oftentimes we're more than happy to sit in the background and let our artwork take the forefront. And so many of us on our websites or social media, there's not a lot of photography or videos of us at all. And one of the things I've learned throughout these last several years is that people do want to make a connection with the artist that they're working with, and they want to form a relationship with you. And I kept hearing this from my own clientele, and especially clientele that have a lot of art in their home. They have a story about that piece of art, especially if they have made that relationship connection with the artist. And they love to tell about them sitting and spending time with the artist, getting to know them, know their background, and maybe over a glass of wine at the house, or they've gone out to eat, or and have developed these conversations where they're beginning to have a little bit of history together. They're making some memories together. So those things are very important, because when it all comes down to it, relationships in this are really the most important aspect of it, and it does help catapult you ahead as an artist. So, how do you get to the point where you feel comfortable um, in having photos of yourself, having videos of yourself on social media? I'll tell you my own experience. It was with me doing things that I knew that would make me feel good, that would build my confidence up. And so I decided I wanted to do a beautiful photo shoot. I am a water girl. I love the ocean, and that's my happy place. And I feel very comfortable being on the beach. So I deliberately looked for local photographers here in Naples, Florida, and I through them on my Instagram and saw who came up. And I came up with Valerie Fike Photography. She's wonderful. I love her tone that she does her photos in. She loves sunsets and sunrises, and she captures those so well with her subjects. And so I reached out to her, and she's been doing my photography ever since, and I appreciate her so much. The other thing I wanted to do is I wanted to look the best that I can. And that's going to make me feel really good. I don't want to have too much heavy makeup, but I want to present myself the best that I can. So I found Naples Makeup Artistry here in Naples. Brandy is absolutely wonderful, and along with Brandy, I met Pam, who also has a wonderful, successful business. She's in Bonita, and that girl can do anything with hair. It She is the ultimate hair artist, and so I've just in this whole process of trying to help myself feel comfortable in presenting myself to the public, I found these fabulous relationships with people and continue to this day. And they're my go-to people when I want to do a new photo shoot or a new video. They are all who I go to. And so those steps helped me feel comfortable in front of a camera for posing, helped me feel comfortable doing a video shoot project. And so do whatever it is that you need to do that builds your confidence. Maybe sit down and make a list. What things? Maybe it's, your favorite makeup, favorite earrings, favorite jewelry, favorite clothes that you love. Um, all those things will help you feel comfortable in this environment. Now, on the other side of this is the whole podcast idea, and that was presented to me by Scott Markowitz originally when I met him. We sat down again, a relationship building moment. We sat down and had coffee, a business meeting, and at a coffee shop here locally. And then just brainstormed, talked about things, talked about our business goals. And he had done some research on my social medias, and he had come across just more on Instagram and noticing him not having like a huge presence about myself being in the foreground, but um, suggested the idea of me being part of a podcast or having a podcast, and absolutely horrifying, terrifying. That couldn't have been the farthest thing from my mind, but he planted a seed in my brain and helped me to realize that maybe that was a good way to go. That there was content that we could provide um, to help other artists to have a business as an artist and not just going to work at a 9 to 5 job, especially if it's something that you don't really love. There's a lot to be said for having your own business. There's a lot to be said for doing something that you absolutely love. That doesn't mean that there aren't going to be days where it's difficult or that you're not crying sometimes. That happens because of the challenges of dealing with personalities and having your own clients, because basically everything you have to answer for because it is your business. So it took me a while to get to this point where I felt comfortable in talking to all of you, but I'm getting there. I could be more comfortable, but I'm getting there. It's a process, and so I think for me it was be be willing to listen. And I feel like at the beginning, when I'm presented with something, I might shut it down right away just because the thought sounds so scary to me. But I really actually do listen, and I do pay attention to what people tell me. And I have always been somebody that has wanted to push myself out of my own comfort zone. And so one of the ways that this all began that helped me a lot is we decided to do a video. Video of, at the time, I was creating a lot of paint pour art and applying it to acrylic. And that was something that a lot of people weren't familiar with. And so that was my first video shoot with Scott. And so I will say I was incredibly nervous, but he has such a wonderful incredible business background, and he also is a life coach. So he has these ways of making you feel very comfortable in front of a camera, and that's kind of where it all began for me with these video shoots. And then we did a glass beads video shoot. That was 2 days of recording, and all those things have helped me to feel more comfortable. So, as artists, what today can you do to maybe push you out of your comfort zone? What things have people said to you that they feel that they would love to see from you that maybe you're currently not doing, but that could be a really good path for you? So, thank you for joining me on this first launch of my first ever podcast. By myself. I will say originally it was going to be by myself, but when I walked in the very first day and sat down with Scott and we were going to record, I couldn't handle the thought of just talking by myself. And I asked him if he could please join. And I think that's turned into such a just a very cool experience for our listeners because you get to hear people in two very different artistic industries giving you input. And so we will continue to do those together and continue to interview artists. But right now, I'm going to add little sprinklings of podcasts in here to help those in more my specific field, that of mural art, designer wall finishes, faux finishes, those things, and hopefully provide you with some insight and helpful hints so that you can be as successful as you want to be. So thank you for listening to me today and my word blunders. I appreciate that. So let's go paint something wonderful. Thank you for joining me.